what I want to talk about it's tarot, and what I think about tarot. Okay, I know that a lot of people use tarot for future telling, which I personally don't agree. I think that tarot can be a way to dig into your own intuitivity, because every one of us has a degree, some kind of degree of intuition, and tarot is with the symbols on each card is something that can get closer to your own personal growth. Now, tarot is surely a tool that many people use for different divination or whatsoever, and I think this is why it got such a bad name. But I believe that the bad name that tarot has is because has been used to ghoul some people, and anyway, you can go to 10 different people that use tarot and have 10 different readings. So let's see what tarot is, okay? And I'll give you a little bit of history, even because I have a major in history, so to me to dig in the history of everything, it's really, really interesting. Originally was a set of cards for a game, for playing game of chance. Has nothing to do with divination, has nothing to do with future prediction, and in fact there is still in France there is still now game of chance called tarot. They use playing cards and not tarot deck. There are 78 cards in a tarot deck as we know today. For some, as I was saying, it's an instrument for divination and fortune telling, and but many others see tarot as a secret repository of an ancient and powerful knowledge. And use many of us use tarot as a tool for consultation, guidance, and kind of decision making. And many use the image that you can find on each card as for guided meditation. Someone even has a magical amulet, but when it comes to magic, I think you can use everything, so it's not clear today when first these tarot cards appeared in northern Italy around the 15th century, and of course since then a lot of changes have happened in the deck as we know today. During the century, what was called a tarot deck was still used as a game of chance, and got different in different parts of Italy, and eventually in the nearby countries like France and Germany and Switzerland, where still today is used as game of chance. But there was a turning point on this when was 1871, because a French scholar and mystic named Antoine Comte de Gebelin published a volume in which for the first time he mentioned that tarot cards were used as popular fortune telling tool as well as gaming. And he claimed that there is this mystic school in Europe, and then in England that believed that the cards were holding a secret key to an ancient repository of knowledge, and that once they were deciphered, once could gain, some kind of powers and deeper understanding of the universe. So, and that's where the French school started the Marseille model, which is the deck as we know today. But it's not the Marseille. It's not a purely French invention. It's the mix that went through the centuries between Italy and France and Switzerland and Germany. The writing of Javelin were then expanded by another mystics called Levi, which went at some point to England, where he was in touch with other mystics, and then the mix between these two schools basically created a new system, which is called the Rider-Waite. So that's why, for instance, if you go for a tarot reader reading in the continent, most of the people will use a Marseille deck, while in the Anglo-Saxon culture they tend to use the Rider-Waite deck. Now, the image of the major arcana, it's mostly the same. There is a big difference when it comes to the other cards. But let's dig on what these cards are. But before, tarot, it's something that everyone can learn. You don't have to be 7th generation psychic. You don't have to sleep with your deck under your pillow. It's not true that you don't read on Sundays. It's not true that you don't buy your deck. It's not true that tarot attracts astral or spiritual entities. The point is that the use of tarot as a deck is so flexible that anyone can say anything, okay? You go to a reader and the reader can tell you, okay, you will marry, I don't know, a man in his 50s, he's tall, he has, brown hair, and which is something that I don't believe. But this is up to everyone. There is, like you say, a market for everyone. You are free to believe whatever you like. Because I insist in saying that tarot might be a a fortune telling tool. And it's why it's all those tarot readers that you see in the television do, the mambo jumbo with, I don't know, crystal ball or something like that. So because I believe that our future, it's not set in stone, and we are the co-creator of our own destiny. So we'll be very sad, in my opinion, if first of all our future is already written, because it means that you have no choice, you have no hope, you have no nothing, and will be extremely sad to go to someone and that person are all the answer for you. I think we have to work hard if we want something. It's not a deck of cards that can tell you if you're going to marry, if you're going to find the perfect job or whatever. It's, as I said, a self-introspection tool that if you use as a guidance might uh, bring you to the right direction, that it's right for you in that moment, okay? Because we are continuously evolving. So what is true for us today might not be true tomorrow, or in 1 month, or in 1 year. So looking only for, you know, fortune telling prediction, it's totally irrational. But if you are interested in, you know, like prediction, like there are some readers that says even then they can tell you what happened to you from now to 1 year. That's up to you to believe it or not. But I think there are a lot of things at play when our future is concerned, okay? Now, this is how more or less, you know, a tarot deck looks like, 78 cards. And as I said, everyone can learn tarot, okay? Even because it has some, you know, structure. So even if you are very, very, you know, rational, you can, you know, break this deck in 3 or 4 parts, and then, you know, apply some simple decodification tool like numerology or symbols, and then off you go, okay? These 78 cards then can be divided in 3 categories and 4 suites. There are the Major Arcana, which are 22 cards, numbered from 0 to 21. There are the Minor Arcana. There are 56 cards. And there are 40 numbered cards for each suite. The suites are Wands, Swords, Pentacles, and Cups. And these are the first 10 that just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 10. Then there are 16 for each suite court cards, which are the Page, the Knight, the Queen, and the King. Okay, so this is how you start to, you know, break your deck. Major Arcana. What are the Major Arcana? I think I have a rider here. The Major Arcana. Major Arcana are basically, and Carl Jung wrote a lot about Major Arcana because he saw Major Arcana as archetypes, and he wrote an interesting book about archetypes, also the one that you can find in a tarot deck. And Major Arcana represent big energies, okay? About the karmic influences, big spiritual lessons that you might be learning, you know, you are in the middle of learning, or they are happening in your life. For instance, the Fool, which is the first one, is what can represent a new beginning, okay? So, and if you look at this card, you know, the person in this card is looking up in the sky, you know, like looking for you know, inspiration from above. Is over a cliff, because we are always over a cliff when there are some big changes, okay? And there is, and this, we start with the symbolism, you know, a white dog next to his leg. White dog is, you know, a symbol of, you know, protection, faithful. So you are never alone, even if you think so, when you start a new journey, okay? And the faith, it's something that will always help us to, start a new beginning. And as you see, this man talking about symbolism as, a small, how do you call, belonging with him, okay? So he doesn't need much. But he also already has, some tools with him, okay? Arjun, please, this is just a talk about tarot. I don't give free readings here. So if you read the description on the page, Mind and Soul, you know what I'm doing here. I'm not giving any free readings, okay? Thank you. If you want to learn something about tarot, please stay with us. So the general idea with the Major Arcana is that there is something prevalent that we are still in the middle of doing, okay? To experience. It's not a day-to-day thing. These cards represent really the big thing that will stay with us for a certain phase in our life. The minor arcana, which are again the one that we can divide in 4 suites from 1 to 10, these represent the day-to-day situation or issue or concern that are with us on a temporary basis. But of course, the fact that we call them minor arcana doesn't mean anything. They, have some relevance in any reading anyway. The core cards, so the core card has the page, the knight, the queen, and the king. This can represent people or personalities, can relate to people come in your life, around your life, or the aspect of yourself that is being expressed in a particular situation. Okay? So, so why do you start? This is a start if you want to learn tarot. Just, to break your deck in suites, so you and in major and minor arcana, so you put aside, the major arcana, you take the suites of swords, number from 1 to 10, then you take, the core cards, and so. Let's start with the major arcana, which are, as I was saying, the big guys in the deck. If you put this major arcana, in a table, I can do this now, from 0, the full, to see, this big spiritual lesson. You can see that really, this is to represent basically the start of the journey in everybody's life, the start and the end. When you end a cycle. And if you look like the first, the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, the Hierophant, we have the first 6 cards, okay, that really show they are very, very similar, because there is always one figure, usually facing, in the middle of the card. So this is when, at the beginning of our journey, we start, so to speak, alone. Along the way, we start to believe in our possibility and our potentiality, But then we need a series of, different teacher, and all these people hold specific key or knowledge that is willing to share with us. Then from number 6, you see that the imagery becomes more complex. There are even more person in the figure. There are people in action. Okay, so they are doing something. They are not just facing us, in a kind of, static way. And this is because usually if you compare this to a personal journey, you start alone. It's like, being born and, get into a phase in which you need to rely on others, and then little by little that you learn your lessons, you can become the teacher of yourself, okay? And then there are the big changes at one point, and again the big lesson that we learn in a later stage of our life, like patience, see other people point of view. You have at some point to deconstruct yourself to find your inner self, your intuition, and you go like faster and stronger to your full awareness. And so it's a journey. It's, a human journey, and that's why it's so fascinating. Okay, now there are ways in which to each of these cards, and the best way to proceed is just trying to work with few cards at a time until you deconstruct the deck like that, and looking simply at this, try to see what is the first thing that pop out for you. Is the guy, is the dog, is the sun, is the cliff, it's can be the colors, or a particular symbol. And you might start asking yourself why this guy is holding a flower, why the flower is white instead of being red or whatsoever. Why is, if it's at the beginning of his journey, his dress is so rich, and so on. And these are the symbols, for each of you that are personal, and that you have to use like in decoding the message that can come from the cards. For instance, this is the strength, okay? Now, for someone, because remember one thing, there are no negative or positive cards. Nothing is negative or positive, okay? So, and this is a lesson in life too. For instance, what you don't like today, you might like tomorrow, and what you like today, you might think it's enough, and you move on to the next thing, Our preferences in life, with food, with clothes, with friends, with books, with, everything changes. You are not the same person that you were not even 6 months ago. So, but there are few things that stay true for us. For instance, someone can look at this card and not feeling, like, oh my God, there is a lion, I don't like lion, I think the woman is really struggling, she's in danger. Why? For somebody else, the lion actually can be, not that scary. Because let's say you were little and your favorite toy when you were 6 years old was a little lion. So there is a way to convey what you say, what you see, and what you feel when you see this, okay? And the same goes for this, for instance, you know, like the hermit. You see an old man, or what you supposed to be an old man, is alone, it's out in the cold, has probably not a very rich clothes on him. He's holding on a vant, he got a light. So let's say that if the first image, the first things that you notice was the cold snow, then you start to notice that at least he has, you know, some clothes on, that is standing firm on his ground, and he has the light to proceed ahead. So basically what at a first sight can be a very, you know, lonely person, then maybe you can see that this is a person that regardless of the difficulties that he might find himself in that moment, is so determined to go ahead, to the point that he's holding high his light to see the way ahead. So this can be very inspiring for you. Let's say you decide to draw, you know, your daily card, and you got the hermit, okay? So you say, you know what, I'm in a position now that maybe I don't like my job, or you know, I don't like what's going on, but I take this as an inspiration to find around me and within me something that will motivate me, okay? And this is the way in which you have to proceed. Of course, for each and every card, okay? This is, for instance, the Wheel of Fortune, okay? And I remember the name doesn't mean that this card means fortune, okay? Because you have to, this is another exercise, you know, you have to stretch your imagination. Agnieszka, so it's like going out your comfort zone. So if you see this card and say, oh, the Wheel of Fortune, today I'm gonna win the lotto. Well, it's not like that, okay? First of all, what we have here, we have a wheel, okay? So which is the first thing that you think about a wheel. A wheel doesn't stay still. The wheel goes on and on and on and on. So this is a way to remind you that things don't stay the same, that maybe you shouldn't get attached too much on, I don't know, material possession, that maybe you should turn around more, you know, your intuition, your, you know, your faith, because things changes, okay? And this is how you should, you know, start decoding the major arcana, and then of course with every single other card, you know, using first your intuition. So it's good, you know, to write down, you know, on a notepad what you feel, okay? What you feel, not what you think, but what you feel when you see a card. And then what you can see if you move out of your comfort zone, like the Anger Man, okay? So first of all, it's like, oh my God, this person is being tortured or whatever. But then if you think, aren't you in this position when you try to look at your reality from a different angle? So you see, what I'm trying to say is that really there isn't anything good or bad, okay, from each card in the tarot deck, okay? But rather, you can find inspiration to really look within and go forward, okay? And that's why this is, especially if you work with the major arcana and you take, the major arcana out of the deck, and, you mix them well, and can be, an inspiration for the day, okay? Then, of course, there are a few things that you can take into consideration when it comes to when it comes to symbols, like. But start again with, you don't have to know the meaning or every single symbol. You can start decoding a card even using what you think is true for you, okay? Like, there is a difference, let's say, in the background, okay? Like, can be from simple. I'll show you. I want to find another from simple to complex to dark to here. You see, like here. For you, for instance, yellow can be your favorite color. So this is something that looking at can, like. Bright, you feel, oh my god, this is so nice, to see that yellow. Then you see, a more complex image like this, in which there is too much, okay? And maybe if you take this as your daily card, probably is a suggestion and advise you not to overcomplicate things. Okay, so you don't really need to know what is the meaning of the Red Cross or what is the meaning of, the angel playing the pipe or the man, the woman. You can get to that, but what I'm trying to say that at the beginning, if you keep simple, if you keep true to yourself, you won't need, years to decoding the tarot, okay? But I'm going to give you, a few symbols that you can use, and they are particularly useful when you are going to work with the minor arcana. And let's say, divide the cards in the 4 suites. From 1 to 10, leave the core card aside, and let's start, okay? Again, this is something that you can do looking how positive, negative, nice, less nice this card can, oh, it's upside down, mean to you, okay? Because tarot is a personal tool, okay? There is no one reader that it's better than another. There are people that you can feel aligned and people that you are less aligned to. So that's why it's important that you find your own way. You don't have to worry, oh, but that woman said that, I don't know, the high priestess, it's not a, a positive card. It's up to another person. You have to decide what is true for you. And this is a high, personal tool, okay? It's like, I don't know, let's see, rice, Everybody can cook rice. Everybody eat rice, but the way you cook and the way you prefer rice, it's not the same as a person B. Maybe you like more fried rice and the other person like more boiled rice. So which is the things that you are both using rice, but you are preparing and cooking in a different way. The rice, it's not better there or there or there, okay? It's just rice. So it's a tool. And so I have something to help. First, with the minor arcana, I think the best things to start is with very basic numerology, okay? Which then can apply to your reading. So usually the 1 okay? But before we go with numerology, let's see the suites, because all the suites are linked to different aspects of, our life. So source represents the mental energy, okay? So everything that can be rational or irrational, something that comes from the mind anyway. Cups, they represent emotions, so everything that comes from the heart. Pentacles, they represent the practical side of our life. They can be job, not only money. Some people, because they see the big coin, they think it's only money related, but it's not. I mean, money, as any other tools, can be very practical to have or less practical not to have. But the same goes with a car, Let's say if you really need a car to go to work, for you it becomes a practical tool of your everyday life. So, and bands are energies, okay? In the same way in which, sometimes you feel very motivated, sometimes you feel less motivated. So this is the first, division that you have to do, with the four suites. Each one cover a particular aspect of our inner life, okay? So there are thoughts, emotions, practical issues, and energy, okay? So then you start simply, like the basic numerology from 1 to 10, where 1 usually a new beginning. So a new beginning with an ace of swords can be a new idea coming up. With the Ace of Cups can be a new emotional beginning that can surely be like meeting a new people, a new person, like a romantic, but can be also something that you get when there is a newborn in your family, okay? So it's a new emotional beginning. Ace can be like when you start a new job, or something that, when you start to think, for instance, to buy a new home. Ace is, the beginning, maybe after you have been sick, so you start, okay, feel again motivated and in a direction to work with your energy, your energy is gone to the right place, let's say, for whatever. So, and this is at the aces. The two, numerologically, it means balance, okay? If you think a scale, the scale has, 2 plates, and, you measure by going up and down. Balance, it also means duality or partnership, okay? So, because, for instance, you expect a love reading be full of cups, okay? And I don't know, a business reading be full of pentacles. But it's not like that, okay? So how do you interpret in a love reading if instead of the 2 of cups, that can easily be 2 people meeting up, they know each other, it's the start of a new relationship, you got the 2 of wands. So what are you going to do? You're not going to read for a romantic question that might be imposed to you, because you say, okay, this is not a love card, I can read that. This is simple means, trying to find the balance in going to another direction. So maybe you meet this person that seems very, very interesting, and you are evaluating if you are ready for, this new relationship, if there is anything else and more than just mutual attraction. And so this is the 2 of swords that usually comes up when you have a choice to make. I'm going to holiday in there or I'm going in there, you know, a choice. It talks about balance and partnership, of course. Then we have the tree. The tree are this, and this, okay? The tree is the initial achievement that you get at the very early stage of a relationship, a project, or, you know, a goal. It talks about creativity, it talks about coming together, so partnership, okay? The four are this, and this, okay? Four, even if you know, take this as an example to remember, you know, the four. Four are structure, foundation, stability, manifestation, you know, like you need 4 pillars to build a house, okay, a home. So this is when you decide to put, you know, some kind of foundation in your life, in your daily life, or, you know, you start to think, you know, ahead, okay? The five, because numerology, it's 1, 10, 5, it's the middle, and it's usually like in life, in the middle of your life, there is always something that, you know, shake things up, okay? So, and that's why we start to have some kind of, you know, inner conflict, okay? So the 5 is when there is a change, there is some kind of an instability, and there is a challenge as well, okay? The 6 is, as you see even in the image, you know, there are multiple people usually, even in this. You can see it's in the foreground, but you see, because 6 is the number of communication or problem solving by teaming up with somebody else, the cooperation, harmony, adjustment, okay? And you see no one in the 4th suite is alone in the 6, okay? 7, again, it's yeah, at the 4, I don't know if you can see, okay? 7, it's a reflection. It's the moment in which, like this guy, okay, that I think expressed the 7 very well, in which you assess what you did, what you have, what you are discovering. So this is the point in which you really start to question what you know and what you don't, okay? 8, and 8, yeah, okay? 8 is the card of action, of the change, of the regeneration, you know, after you evaluate something, after the 7, when you have reflected and discovered that there are other ways to do the things, you go ahead, okay? You take an action to change. And this is also the number of spirituality, and so it's a very powerful number. I like that. 9, remember 9, you know, and you can apply the number even, you know, in what it's archetypal through. It takes 9 months to create a life. So somehow it's something that represents the fruition, going to close to fulfillment, near completion, because it's not yet 10, but in 9 you can do a lot. I mean, creating a life in 9 months, it's awesome, okay? So here we go. And then there are the 10. which are again the end of a cycle, because 10 it's 1 0, okay? Completion, so something that's been completed, but it's also the start of a new circle, because 10 it's 1 plus 0. So after 10, we start to count again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, and this is it for the moment. So I think that to, recap of what I said, tarot can be a tool that everybody can learn. We are, to some degree or another, all intuitive. If you think all the times that, people say, oh, I should have done that, or I knew that I shouldn't have thought that, oh, if only I follow what I was thinking. There are many times that we regret not trusting what our inner voice was telling us. And that it's not magic, okay? That it's not magic. That is just a basic intuition, because we all are intuitive beings. Only that because of the circumstances and, the culture, we don't trust our intuition. It is true that one cannot live just intuitively, maybe not, but I think that being too rational is, issue as well. So I feel that our intuition is something that can guide us much better than going to a fortune teller, paying, I don't know, whatever, and say, oh, please tell me my future. That it's not, it's really sad if you think about it, If you delegate anyone to the result of your happiness, they can be extremely, extremely sad, okay, in my opinion. As a tarot reader, I can help you to see what's behind the scene, but I'm not the maker of your future. You are, okay? So, to recap, there are 78 cards, okay? So don't get, everybody can learn tarot, and you can use tarot as you like. Even if you want to become a fortune teller and that it's for you, go ahead, it's a very flexible tool. You start decoding the tarot deck by dividing first the 22 major arcana, which represent the karmic lessons in life, then the minor arcana divided in the first suite from 1 to 10, and the 16 court cards. There are 4 for each suite: Page, Knight, Queen, and King. Then you have just to get in tune with each card. Remember, there is no right, no wrong. There are books that can help you to decode the symbols, the colors. For instance, I didn't talk about the colors, but like all the symbols that you see in the card, because each card is full of symbols. So clouds often can symbolize air, and so they are associated with thoughts. So if you see a dark cloud, it can be, something that you should shift in the positive way. Rain, but let's say that even if you see rain or clouds are are temporary, so there is no cloud that stay in the sky for too long. Circle represent eternity, or cycles that are constantly turning, like in the Wheel of Fortune. Children represent innocence, purity. It can also represent, actual children that are around you at the moment. So There are books that I can, advise you to read to, to learn about the symbols. And one is 78 Degrees of Wisdom by Rachel Pollack, and I think this is one of the best book if you want to learn, like a more tarot. It's not big one, so I think this is one of the best book. Then, of course, if you want to use tarot at its best as an approach to use tarot for personal growth, this is quite big, I know, but it's one of the best one. It's Holistic Tarot by Benebell Wen. There is this girl is amazing. She knows so much. And while not all the information might be pertinent for you, for instance, she really gives every single thing that you can think about a tarot card, like the classical element, five fundamental energy, astrological sign. So these are all things that she knows very well, but again, you don't have to memorize everything, okay? And so this is a book that if you are looking really to use tarot for personal growth in an holistic way, is the book that, it's for you. And being this said, as usual, I'm available for tarot reading, online. So if you want to book a tarot reading with me, please do. I'm not the maker of your future. I'm sorry. I'm not taking responsibility. But if you're looking for a direction, if you want to work with me, because remember, every time you go or you offer a reading, it's always an exchange of energy. So thank you for being with me today, and tomorrow I will have another exciting talk about cleansing your space. So I hope to see you there. Thank you again for being with me. Happy Tarot.